Jan Egil Eide from Norway. We're super excited to have you on with us. A lot of our community in canine sports loves to hear from folks like yourself, and I'm personally very interested to interview you and get to know you better because you will be one of the judges at the One TDC Invitational coming up. So, Jan, thank you so much for joining me. Thanks for your time.
Thank you for having me.
So let's jump right into this. First, tell us exactly where are you? I just said Norway, but that's kind of very vague. So tell us
Yeah.
where you're located.
Okay. I am like 1 hour outside Oslo in Norway. I live in the countryside. I have a house and I have a forest around me. And yes, I have two dogs and I pretty much do a lot of agility. That it's my main occupation.
That's your main occupation, and there you are in a beautiful area. Well, you definitely have to send me some pictures so I can actually add some of those pictures in our. We're going to make a nice little blog and vlog of this interview. So definitely send us some pictures so we can actually see the beautiful parts. So yeah, let me ask you, how long have you been doing dog agility?
Oh, it's I think more than 30 years actually. I think I started something 92, 93 something. It's so long ago I hardly remember, but it's a long time. Yeah, more than 30 years.
30 years. That is a long time. So, all right, of course, we have to ask, what inspired you? How did that come about? You say you don't fully remember, but I kind of, how often did you decide? Did you have dogs already? Were you involved in sports yourself? How did the connection happen?
Yes, we had already a family dog, a Labrador Retriever, and a
Okay.
friend of mine. She said she her friend invited her to this dog thing, and she said you have to come. It was so cool, and I brought my dog and I joined her for the training, and it was I think just instant love and addiction. I think I just felt it was perfect for me because I guess I'm a little bit competitive and I grew up with dogs and I just love dogs. Then so to combine these things, the relationship with the dog and also could compete, it was just perfect for me actually.
So you got bit by it and you had the addiction.
Yes, totally, totally.
Well, I'm also laughing because before we started the interview, you and I were talking, and I mentioned to you that you mentioned competitiveness. And I had the chance with my good friend Alicia Calhoun many years ago, as I mentioned to you, be in Germany. And I remember seeing all those European countries competing. And when the Norway people came around with the flags, you guys were so loud and so competitive. So I can see that, not be deceived by the stoicness of the strong, powerful Norway people, but you guys are very into the game and very, very competitive.
Cool. I'm happy to hear. Yes, we are doing our best, and we have, I think, fair amount of people doing agility, and we are, I think, competitive and doing quite well. And I think also we have a really good um, way of treating our dogs.
Mm.
Normally they are family members, and we take care of them, and yeah, and this part I think we are doing quite well, and I think that part is also really important.
Mm. So that family bond with the dog is you're saying that you're seeing this as a competitive edge.
Absolutely, and I think it's super important because it's I think the everything really comes down to the relationship, also working with the dog, and to have a good relationship inside agility and also outside agility. For me it have always been super important, and it still is. I think it's really yeah, really important, and for myself I put a lot of work and time into that
Mm.
when I get puppies and things to build this relationship and build the trust. And I just want my dogs to be really happy around me, that they prefer me instead of the cat running over there or something. So and it just makes all the training also easier when you have a strong relationship. So I think, yes, very important.
That makes sense. Is there anything specific that you do in the early stages of your puppy to create that bond? Is there any particular process that you go through?
I think nothing magic, but I think most of all for me, it's about spending time. That I make sure that we have the time. And of course, now I have two dogs. Sometimes I had more. And then I also make sure that when I have the puppy, that we have like one-on-one time, that it's not always the flock. But so I think for me, the most important thing is to actually spend the time,
Okay.
make sure we have time together and have fun together and go for small walks together and play. And I think most people are doing this, but you just have to make sure that you find the time for it.
So that
Yes,
that bond and connection before you have the demand really on the next steps of training.
absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So I know you compete and you've been competing for a long time, but you don't just compete. You're also a judge. So I'd love to hear from you as a judge. What led you to want to become a judge? Because not everybody who competes wants to be a judge. So what was in your heart and how did that come about?
Oh, I think it was a little bit coincidence. It was also a friend of mine who started to do the judge education. Then I was thinking, why not? Maybe this could be interesting. Um, and for many years, my main priority was competing,
Mm,
and I was competing on the highest level and participated in the worlds and all these competitions. So the judging was like just a fun thing, and I think it also gave me as a competitor some perspective and ideas and knowledge, I think, and also all my experiences as a competitor um, gave me a lot of inspiration for the judge part. So
mm.
this changed a little bit with time. For many years, it was I was competitor for sure. That was priority number one, and little by little, I guess I became a judge in I think 2001, and then I guess it took me 10 years before I was thinking, okay, maybe I can pursue a little bit, have some ambitions, and uh, do it a little bit more. And it was also a little bit connected with like the dog, my Malinois. My Malinois was called Circus.
Mhm.
Uh, she retired, and so it was a good time. And I didn't have a puppy, so it was a good time to a little bit accept some invitations, and then yeah, I guess I've also somehow I brought in a little bit the competitive part in this, that I found it interesting also to um, judge like bigger events a little bit abroad, because Europe is not so big compared to the US. So it's like for me 2 3 hours flight and then I reach all the corners of Europe. So it's
Mhm.
like, but still, um, yeah, I just found it interesting to explore this part.
That's interesting. So you've been a judge for a long time then, since 2001. So that's 24 years.
Yeah, yeah,
That's a long time.
yeah.
I want to ask you a little bit more about the evolution of the sport, but before I go there, first we're super excited that you're coming to the One TDC Invitational, the UKI event, in March. So we'll get to spend some time together and watch you build those courses. But I wanted to ask you when you because you've been a competitor for such a long time and you've been a judge for a long time. Is there, what's your process when you build a course? Because I know you've got a reputation on the courses that you build. Is there like, do you put yourself in the mind of the competitor when you're doing it? What's your thought process when you build those courses?
It's well, how to answer that? It's I think it's a little bit more complex than maybe most competitor they are aware of. I think because it's really a lot of levels and a lot of things to take into consideration. But the main goal is always to try to create something fun,
Mm,
that something that's fun to run, fun to watch for the audience, and also of course something that's fun for me to judge. And it need to be safe, so like
mm.
no bad angles or bad approaches, so everyone is like safe through my courses. And of course something fluid. I really love to see dogs run and to run fast, so I like open fluid courses. And I guess I take all kind of experience into my course design. I've kind of my start as a judge, it was on a during a time where course design were totally different, and I had my Malinois with long strides and needed space, and I got these courses, I call them a little bit Mickey Mouse courses with short distances, and I have all these experiences. And I also, a lot of time I was really frustrated with course design. So I think all these experiences, I bring into my course design. So I try to make sure also the bigger dogs, that there should be enough space for them. And also I like to try to flavor it, so the competitors, they can show me that they have been practicing, they have some skills, and try to offer some variation of skills in my courses.
Well,
So I'll for sure I will try my best, and I really am looking forward to the event in Chicago, and I hope, of course, people will enjoy my courses, and also not only enjoy them, but that they will be successful in them. I will
that's
cross my fingers.
yeah. Well, I think know that you will, and it's really nice to hear that. That the first thing you say is fun. And I have to say the one TDC Invitational last year, the team, wonderful team that Laura and Greg have put together, very dedicated, and the courses were tough, but I think fun. And what's been interesting actually to watch also from the US and Canada perspective and Europe is I've had the opportunity of coming to a lot of the European events, and you guys go all out. Forget about you trying to be as accurate as you can, but you're going all out. And that's something in the US that we didn't see, but we're catching up. There's a lot of great competitors, Jessica, Perry, all those folks, and the list goes on that have really, really ramped up and competed. And I think one of the factors that I've noticed, and I'd love your take on this, is UKI has been growing in the United States. And I look at it, and the reason why one TDC is so pleased and honored to be participating with UKI, it's the high end, it's the tough courses, it's really preparing you for some of those competition, I would think, in Europe. So I'd love your take on looking at UKI. You're involved with UKI, and what's your observation of that particular agility UKI, and is it any different? Are you noticing any different about UKI?
So I share your opinion about UKI, that they are doing a really good job. And I also like the fact that they can easily change and adapt to the
Mm,
times, because the sport is evolving. And if I should compare to FCI, that we have in that we use a lot in Europe, I'm a FCI judge also. It's just with the FCI, it's just more administration, and it just takes more time. And
mhm,
this I also like with UKI, that if they see that we have something in our rules that it's not working, they
mhm.
can, in a short time they can adapt and change it. And I think that's like a super advantage, for sure. And I think that also reflects the success they are having, also with this kind of shows. So I'm a little bit working with Greg and Laura earlier, I judged last year the World Agility Open, and I'm really happy to be invited back to one of their shows. So yes, absolutely. I think they are doing a good job and really well organized events. I think also
Yes.
people really appreciate that, according to the times, and it's easy, I think, to navigate with rules and expectations and these things for the competitor, and all these things like in together, I think creates really good events. And yeah, I'm looking forward.
Yeah, I think what you're saying, Jan, is a great observation. The ability to pivot to make changes that make sense for the sport. And look, you do need structure, and a certain level of bureaucracy is needed in any organization. But I think you're right. I think they've done a really good job doing that. I will tell you that our observation as vendors as well, because we're one TT's a vendor at UKI, um, they take really good care of their vendors. And as well, it appears from our eyes, the competitors as well. Nothing is ever perfect, and always some people can always have complaints of some sort, but I think they do a really good job. And I think part of that is the leadership of having a really good team. It's not just Greg and Laura and the great people, but I think the team, the structure of the team is phenomenal. That's been my observation, at least as a vendor.
I totally agree, and I am also organizer. I'm not only competitor and a judge, but of course I'm also organizing events, and I'm organizing event that's called Norwegian Open, and
Nice.
I am sure some we have had competitors coming all the way from US, and of course everyone is welcome. So, but of course I know the amount of work behind an event like this, and so I have like total respect for the work they put in, and the way I see it, they really put a lot of work in for a lot of people to have fun with their dogs, and I think that's what it's all about.
No, I totally agree. So I wanted to ask you, and we touched a little bit upon that earlier, but I want to ask you, you've been in this sports a long time. So dog agility 30 years ago is not the same dog agility today. So how do you see the sports from where it was when you started to where it is now, and where do you think it's evolving to? Kind of a two-part question for you.
Yeah, the last part is a little bit harder to say, but of course, I think now the sport now compared to 30 years ago, it's safer for sure,
Mm,
a lot safer. There is less angles and it's safer obstacles. I remember we had our tunnel bags were like almost nothing. So when the bigger dogs ran through it, the tunnel moved several meters and these things.
I
So all
remember.
this, we are like all the time looking for the things to make the sport safer. So much better now. I think time have really treated the sport in a good way,
Mm,
good involving. And of course, with skills, I think skills is really connected to how safe the sport is. If the dog is have skills and it's well trained, then it's less chance that something happened. I would think. Um, so uh, that's a really good thing. All this, I think. The way in what direction the sport is evolving, well, I think hard to say. Well, I don't know. It's everything is like going so fast, and I think the last 10 years have been really so many changes. But I think it's really in a good way. It have been a lot of debate about distances between obstacles, and I think maybe what we are looking at now is maybe that we can in a better way agree that we need a little bit more distance than we used to have, but we have to make sure it's not too much and
Mhm.
these things. So yeah, hard to say. It will be exciting to see what happens. But yeah, I think my role in this as a judge, I need to pay attention, uh, follow trends, follow the sport, and even try to contribute to take the sport in a direction that I think is good for the sport, because I think this this impact, I think we judges, we have this chance actually to take the sport in a good direction.
Yeah, I agree. And hopefully too, what I love seeing in the sport is bring a lot of youth because the bond that the that young people can have with the dogs, it helps them mature, but it's so healthy and it's so much fun too when we see more of the youth in the sport. Um, I wanted to ask you, so the one TDC invitation was coming up. I'm excited to spend some time with you there in Chicago. But I want to know, and I think competitors want to know as well, what can they expect and look forward to the Jan courses at the 1TDC Invitational?
Yeah, well, I think it's no, not so much surprises. I think everyone who checks out my course design, I think they will recognize my courses, and I think this is also important. It's that it could be transparent. So I think to prepare for the event, just look up some of my older courses, and I think you will recognize my style, and hopefully people will enjoy it.
So you hear it now. Get prepared. Look up some of those old courses. Okay, if I was a competitor and I knew I'm coming to the 1TDC Invitational and I know I'm going to be running on one of Jan's courses, what specific skill I should really be honing into and really get better at? Because anything that's specific to your signature that you really got to have that skill when you want to run well on the Jan course.
I would say that you're able to handle the speed, the mix between the speed and the techniques. That if you're not able to run as fast as your dog, maybe it could be good to have some verbal cues that could help you if you are 5 meters behind. That your dog is able to separate, if it's the backside or if it's the left or right, and so I think those things could be useful. Some verbal verbal independent skills, I think. And I think that's not only for me. I will also judge with my Norwegian colleague Kine, and actually I am doing judge education in Norway, so she was in the group. That was my first time student, so maybe she somehow a little bit, you can expect the same situation with her, same type of skills. And I think a little bit European style, I would call it, and I see it also more and more in US. So I think people, they will be prepared, and I think they will not be surprised from the courses. I think they will recognize our style, and I think if they are a little bit prepared, they will have a lot of fun, and I think also fair share of success.
Excellent. Well, we know it's going to be a wonderful event. We're super excited that you and Tina are coming over. And verbal cues, get in shape, follow that dog. And
Mm.
we're definitely looking forward to have you over. Any final word that you want to tell our audience, Jan, about the sport, about the events, anything that you want to share coming from your heart?
Well, I think regarding this event, I just want to say I'm really looking forward to meet everyone, and I hope people will have a wonderful event there in Chicago. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. So best of luck to everyone, and I'm looking forward to meet you guys.
Excellent. Jan, thank you for your time, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you.